There's my favorite intern. And 15 minutes early. How punctual of you. Oh, there's no need to apologize. I wasn't sleeping. I was just, resting my eyes. It's much easier for me to think if I'm relaxed than if my eyes are shut. I know it's odd, but I'd have to say that it works for me in most cases. So why fix my methods if they work, right? I suggest that if you're going to get into this line of work, that you should figure out some of your own ways to make your life easier. I know that you'll go into your career all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, but after a while, the luster of the job wears off, and what was previously your dream job becomes a living nightmare. Write that down as my #1 tip for you, and don't say I never taught you anything, okay? Don't get me wrong though, this job can be pretty rewarding, and I don't mean to scare you away from your goals or anything like that. I'm just sharing my personal feelings is all, and you may end up being completely different from me, so take everything I say with a grain of salt, especially now as it's late at night, and I haven't been able to sleep properly for the last couple of days. Aw, how thoughtful of you. If you're trying to kiss up to me, you're doing it remarkably well. I've never had an intern before, but if they're all as kind as yourself, I wouldn't mind having a few more of you. Maybe then my files would be organized, and this office would be neat and orderly for once. Fingers crossed, right? Anyways, thanks for the coffee. You're a lifesaver. Ugh, please. Call me John, not Gabriel, and definitely don't call me Mr. Utterson. It makes me sound like an old washed-up detective. I understand that I am technically teaching you, but I'm really not one for formalities. So just skip the whole Mr. thing. The way I see it, we're just co-workers, and I happen to be a little more experienced than you is all. As for the case, I have to ask you, do you really think you can handle something like this? I mean, sure, this is technically what you've been going to school for, but this case is kind of serious. Do you really want your first case to be built around an on-the-loose serial killer? You're going to see some disturbing things. Things that normal people don't see. Like, ever. I just don't want you to become afraid of the job before it even starts, you know? Things like this rarely happen around here, so if you back out of this case, you'd more than likely never have to face something like it ever again. The choice is yours, obviously, but once we get started, you're going to have to stay involved. It's kind of a rule we have around here. I won't blame you if you don't want to be a part of this operation, and if you want to go home now and come back later in the morning. But I need to know as soon as possible so I can get to work. You're brave. I like that. In any case, this will surely be a good experience for you. Most of our senior detectives haven't even had the opportunity to work on something like this, which makes me wonder why I'm the one who's leading this investigation, and moreover, why you're studying under me as opposed to them. Whatever, those are different questions for different days, I guess. Please, take a seat, and let's get you briefed. I hope to make this as quick as possible so that you can go home and get some rest. I apologize that you had to stay here so late, but it was really the only time that I could work with you on this case. I didn't think you would want to come in and do my paperwork, which is why you were working with other detectives this morning. I also figured that you would learn better from a hands-on investigation, rather than sorting through files and making calls. Although it is part of the job, it's not that interesting. You'll have plenty of your own paperwork to do when you officially become a detective. Trust me. You can thank me later for saving you from the hours of boredom. Anyways, here. You can read through these on your own time. There's photos and all of the information of the case in there. You can keep that as your own private file, as I have made copies for myself. You can do whatever you want with those. Doodle, make a paper hat, I really don't care. Just as long as you keep what's inside of that file to yourself. I expect that file to stay in this office, or for it to be kept inside of a locked briefcase whenever you're taking it with you. That information doesn't need to be shared with anyone, especially with the media. They always blow things out of proportion, which in turn can ruin our entire investigation. Basically, we've been receiving a lot of missing persons reports over the last few weeks, and unfortunately, we were never able to find out where those people were. That was until about a few days ago, when a bunch of kids decided to trespass into an abandoned hospital to do whatever they were going to do. I never did ask them. Lo and behold, they found a lot, and I mean a lot, of bodies. We sent people down there to investigate, and sure enough, all of the missing people from the reports were found there. Just not alive. There didn't seem to be any connections with the victims either. They all seemed to be chosen completely at random, which is even more worrying to me. A few samples were collected and sent to forensics, but there weren't any signs of any DNA footprints, as they say. Whoever is doing this is incredibly skilled with keeping themselves hidden. How are we supposed to catch a criminal who seemingly has no goal? And to top it off, they're almost undetectable. Quite frankly, the thought of this person has been eating away at me. It seems like our killer is doing it all for fun. I wonder what could cause someone to do such things to another human being. Madness? Hate? Anger? Or jealousy? Since we obviously don't know who the killer is, and since the victims seemingly have no connection to each other, it's hard to tell what the killer's motive actually is, and until we can figure it out, our suspect will most likely continue to kill until they're eventually caught. Something to take note of, though. From the information we've gathered from the victims' families, all of the victims were last seen leaving their homes fairly late at night. All for different reasons, of course, but still, it's something. I figure if things get out of hand, we can use that knowledge to stage something, maybe bait in our killer. Whether he or she would fall for the bait is left to chance, though. Unfortunately, there aren't too many street cameras nearby that hospital either, as it's been left vacant for so long, so there really isn't any video footage to look over yet. But we are trying to cycle through all the footage of all the other cameras in the city from about 2 to 3 days ago, which is around when the last missing persons report came in. This is basically the only information we have so far. We're literally trying to find a needle in a haystack here, and every couple of days, the situation only gets worse and worse for us, as the number of victims keeps increasing. At this time of night? You're suggesting that we walk right into the killer's lair, so to speak? I commended you for your bravery before, but now you just sound nuts. Believe me when I say that I've thought about walking down there to take a look at things myself. I mean, what if I could catch the guy behind all of this and put an end to the entire investigation? Fact of the matter is, whoever is doing this is very dangerous and is more than likely willing to kill whatever he can to stay hidden. The person has nothing to lose. So if we were to go looking for him in the dark, and in his own hideout of sorts, how well do you think we'd fare? I'm guessing we wouldn't fare well at all. Not to mention, even if we did go to investigate, you wouldn't even be granted the clearance to go inside of the place. Not legally speaking, that is. Besides, as far as I'm aware, the police have already had the building on lockdown as of late. Nobody is getting in or out of that building unless authorized. That either means that our suspect is locked inside of his hidey hole, or that he's out and about right now, probably aware at the fact that he's been found out. Hopefully that'll force him to lay low for a while, and refrain from committing these heinous crimes until we have more information on him. Well, that's really a difficult question to answer. Right now, I have no idea what we can do. As far as we know, he could already be trapped in a corner by the police, and if that is the case, we won't really have to do anything. So I guess the best course of action is to wait for the police to enter the hospital and clear out the building. Until then, there really isn't much we can do, as the information we have as of current doesn't really help us out. I know. It's stressful being unable to do anything. Sadly, that happens to be what 80% of the job is. The rest goes to paperwork and then a tiny amount to field work. Just keep in mind that when something does eventually happen for us, we need to be alert and at our best. People rely on us, so we can't get discouraged just because we can't help out now. I'm sure we'll have plenty of work to do later on, just not now. Really? A phone call? This late at night? Seriously? Sorry, 1 second. Hello? Who is this? Yes, it has been a while. I'm working right now, so can we make this quick? What? How do you know about the case? Sure. Anyways, I'm not really supposed to talk about things like this with people who aren't involved, but it sounds like you already know everything that we do here. I have my doubts about you, Jackal. Yes, I know that you have helped me out before, but still, we can't keep doing this. If we were to be found out, it could cost me my... Never mind. Now really isn't the best time. We'll talk about it later, okay? I'll be over there shortly. Goodbye. Oh, him? Well, I guess you could call him an old friend of mine. I haven't seen much of him recently as he's been working on some project or another. That being said, he seems to be well informed about anything when it comes to crimes. I swear, he's more of a detective than I am. Anyways, he offered to help me out. Again. While it hurts me to go against our code of keeping things private, he has helped me out on numerous occasions. And technically, he already knows about this case. So me bringing it up with him really isn't breaking any rule or anything like that. Unfortunately for us, that means that our meeting here is concluded, as it seems I have something else to tend to right now. I got you briefed on what's been going on anyways, which is really all I can do right now. So our work is done as far as I see it. How about you go home and get some rest? We'll be back at it again tomorrow, so try not to worry about the case too much, okay? I don't want you to stress yourself out over it. Would you like for me to call you a cab? I'll pay for it. All right, suit yourself then. Just be careful. It's pretty late right now, and even though you only live a few blocks away, walking alone in the dark isn't the smartest of choices, especially after what's been going on. Be quick, and text me when you get back to wherever you're going, okay? I have to lock the place up yet, so you can just head out. I'll only be here for a few more minutes anyways. Thank you for staying so late, and again, thank you for the coffee. Remember to be here bright and early tomorrow, as we'll have more work to do. And, please, don't tell anyone about Jackal and I. I could probably lose my job if anyone were to hear that I was conversing with someone who wasn't already a part of the case. Do me that favor, and we'll get along just fine. Anyways, as much of a pleasure as it was to finally get to work with you, you should get going. Safe travels and good night.